Good morning. Let me read the conclusion of these Beatitudes to you. And remember, these are things that the kingdom of God values. And we'll begin in verse 10. We're going to read Matthew 5:10 through 12. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Years ago, there was a museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's no longer in existence now, but it was, I think it was known as the International Missions Museum. They had a display, and you could walk through it, and you could see history of missions over the years. You'd get to the end, and there was a wall, and on that wall had these little wood crosses, small little, about like this, little wood crosses. And the wall was just filled with them. And coming out from the wall, even kind of on top of each other, were all these wood crosses. The wood crosses signified all the people who had been statistically martyred worldwide within the last 2 months. You might be surprised to learn what that figure was. And this is within the 21st century, the early 21st century. The figure was 29,000. 29,000 wood crosses symbolizing how many people had died for their faith globally. Now, you and I are out of touch with that reality. We live in safety. We endure some persecution. I mean, it's possible. It's possible for you to lose your job potentially today because maybe you have to take a stand for something. It's possible for you to be verbally marginalized, maybe socially marginalized in some ways. Certainly possible for you to feel the angst of family and the kind of social pressure that comes along with that if you are someone who is trying to live for the kingdom of God and demonstrate your life as a believer. But we need to understand that persecution globally is very real. Now, the world despises in that way the strong claims for faith. The world will be okay with an innocuous religion. The world will be okay with a kind of mainstreaming that doesn't ruffle any feathers. The world will be okay with God in the abstract, but not in the concrete. Jesus said as much. Matthew 10:22, all men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. Later in Matthew's gospel, Matthew 24:9, then you'll be handed over to be persecuted, be put to death, and you'll be hated by all nations because of me. Blessed are you when people persecute you. Blessed are you when you're reviled. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. Why? Well, because you join a great crowd, a great chorus. Last part. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Those great witnesses of the Old Testament that are highlighted in Hebrews 11, right? Blessed are you if you endure persecution. So don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of being reviled. Don't be afraid of being marginalized for the sake of God's kingdom. Because when you're marginalized for the sake of God's kingdom, here's what you need to know. You are anything but marginal in God's kingdom. Let me say that again. If you're marginalized for the sake of God's kingdom, you are anything but marginal in God's kingdom. Be encouraged. The Lord sees your faithfulness. Take care.